34,000 years ago, a 15-year-old boy was attacked by a bear. The attack tore through his jaw, his neck, and his shoulder. He was dying, but he was not alone. And what his community did after he died, 34,000 years ago, will completely change how you see ancient humans. They grieved, the same way we do. Let's start with something that most people find genuinely surprising. Humans are the only animal on Earth that deliberately buries its dead. Every other creature leaves the dead where they fall. Only humans have consistently, across every culture and every era, found a way to honor the dead. The earliest evidence of deliberate burial dates back to the Middle Paleolithic, around 130,000 years ago. And it was not just early humans doing it. Neanderthals were burying their dead too. Archaeological excavations have found Neanderthal graves dating back 130,000 years. Bodies placed in specific positions, grave goods placed alongside them. This was not accidental. This required planning, memory, and care. Now let's talk about Shanidar Cave in Iraq, because this is where one of the most debated ancient burials ever found was discovered. In the 1950s, archaeologist Ralph Seletsky discovered the remains of 10 Neanderthals inside the cave. Analysis of the soil around one burial showed unusually high concentrations of pollen from at least 8 different species of flowering plants. Seletsky argued that these were flowers deliberately placed on the grave. He declared Neanderthals the first flower people, capable of grief, ceremony, and symbolic thinking. Later scientists debated whether the flowers got there naturally, blown in by wind, or carried by burrowing animals. The debate continues, but the deliberate burial itself, regardless of the flowers, remains undisputed. Neanderthals were burying their dead. That is confirmed. That alone is extraordinary. Now let's talk about the Rising Star Cave in South Africa. Because in 2015, this changed everything. Paleoanthropologist Lee Berger announced the discovery of Homo naledi, a small-brained ancient human relative, deep inside the cave. In a chamber only reachable through narrow tunnels, they found dozens of Homo naledi remains. Not one burial, dozens. In a chamber that would have been nearly impossible to reach. They had to carry their dead through nearly impossible tunnels, in complete darkness, to reach this chamber. This was not accidental deposition. This was deliberate. This was intentional. And Homo naledi had a brain roughly 1/3 the size of ours, which suggests that caring for the dead, honoring them, may be an even more ancient human impulse than we ever thought. Now let's talk about the extraordinary June 2026 discovery. The oldest evidence of mourning rituals ever found. Published just weeks ago, researchers studying the site of Arene Candide in Liguria, Italy, found something remarkable. Burial after burial, spanning 34,400 years, all using the same ritual practices. Every burial covered in red ochre. Ochre is a red mineral pigment, and it appears in almost every ancient burial site ever found across the world. Scientists believe it held deep symbolic meaning, possibly representing blood, life, or the passage between worlds. At Arene Candide, they also found broken pebbles, each pebble deliberately broken in half. One half placed with the buried person, the other taken away. A keepsake, something to hold on to, something to keep the dead person present in the lives of the living. 34,000 years ago, and the impulse was identical to what humans do today. Now let's talk about what else ancient humans did around death. Because the burial was only part of it. They gathered. Death forced the tribe together, often for extended periods. Evidence from ancient burial sites shows that communities sometimes traveled long distances specifically to bury their dead at designated places. Arene Candide was not a place people lived. It was a place they came to specifically to bury their dead. One of the world's earliest cemeteries. 34,000 years old. They placed objects with the dead, tools, ornaments, animal bones, things that mattered to the person in life. This suggests they believed the dead needed these things. That something continued after death, an afterlife, or something like it, already present in human thinking 130,000 years ago. They told stories. Anthropologists believe that storytelling about the dead, remembering them, retelling their lives, began as early as burial itself. The dead lived on in the stories told around the fire. They used their bodies to grieve, rocking, holding each other, weeping, and they may have sung. Music and death have been connected in human culture for as long as both have existed. Now here is what makes all of this science so important. The way ancient humans dealt with death tells us what they valued most in life. They buried their children with as much care as their adults. They buried people with disabilities, individuals who could not have survived alone, showing they were cared for throughout their lives. One of the Shanidar Neanderthals had a withered arm and was blind in one eye, and lived to old age. He could not have survived without the sustained care of others around him. Ancient humans took care of their vulnerable, and when those people died, they buried them with honor. Now here is what the June 2026 study concluded about all of this. The repetition of the same rituals across 34,400 years at Arene Candide hints at a deep, culturally ingrained way of thinking about bodies and death. These were not individuals improvising in grief. These were communities following traditions passed down through generations. Death brought communities together around a shared process that everyone recognized and could participate in. The researcher Leila Tizio described it this way. While each passing is a different event, individual stories merge with ritual practices that others can recognize and participate in. This type of mourning brings communities together around a shared process that a funeral today and a burial at Arene Candide 34,000 years ago are separated by everything. Sound familiar? Except the most important thing. Ancient humans dealt with death the same way we do. By gathering. By marking the moment.